Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for listening to our panel today. And we'll be talking about leveraging infrastructure to build momentum and the flywheel approach. Without further ado, firstly, I would like to invite all of our panelists to make a self-introduction about yourself. Why don't we start with Joshua?
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. My name is Joshua. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Supra. Supra is a vertically integrated layer 1, which has multi-VM support, native price feeds, native bridge, native automation. I've been in blockchain since 2017 full-time, and I've been building Supra for over 3.5 years.
Hi, everyone. This is Veronica. I'm the CEO and co-founder at SafePal. So we started in 2018 to build a comprehensive non-custodial wallet for people to secure and grow their crypto assets. So in the last 6 years, we have been focusing on building diversified wallet solutions, including hardware wallets, mobile wallets, and browser extension, and also another new type launching this month to empower the crypto assets management for retail investors. So to this moment, we are serving more than 16 million users global-wide from 200 plus countries and have been digging down the rabbit hole of solving all of the problems in the user journeys, from bridging them to traditional industries to Web3 and to release the magic of decentralized economy. So yeah, what a journey. Nice to be here.
Great, great. And then
hi, everyone. Nice to be here. So, Anthony, the co-founder for eStorage. eStorage is a storage layer for Ethereum ecosystem. So, we're also a layer 2. Instead of scale for the TPS, we're actually helping to store more stuff on chain. Compared with store on Ethereum, we are 1,000 times cheaper, and we can store for the PB level. Also, we're not competing with all the existing layer 2 because we're helping them to store more stuff. We can be like a layer 3 with them as well. We receive a lot of grants from Ethereum Foundation and Tyco, like Optimism, and have been working with other layer 2 as well. Yeah.
Cool. Now, all three of our panelists are very experienced crypto founders in the infrastructure space. So the first question I would ask is for the past and future of infrastructure. So what kind of important changes have crypto infrastructure undergone in the past few years? And like, how do you see crypto infrastructure trends in the next 3 to 5 years time frame?
Well, surprisingly, blockchains are very, very fast. They're getting very fast. We're talking about sub-second finality. These new consensus protocols are outperforming Visa, MasterCard in throughput and latency. That is very surprising to me. And I think it's very encouraging in terms of what kind of use cases can happen on-chain.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of things happened. Since we serve the market from a retail angle, we have actually seen a lot of progress is made in infrastructure to making it easier to onboard users into Web3. Like where we started in 2018, there wasn't any really institutional fiat on-ramp, let's say, not to mention credit card and debit card. All of these payment infrastructures, they weren't there. And back then, the only application on chain was cryptocurrency itself. Like there were no NFT, DeFi, and all those. So we have seen it's been a long way of progress is made to this moment that people can easily onboard into crypto. They can invest into crypto through ETF or through Web3 native trading experiences. They can have financial services in it, all of the lending and also trading experiences all mirrored from the traditional finance ecosystem. We are also seeing a mass scale of mass adoption applications on top, including social, including entertainment. So it's been a long way coming through. Looking in the future of 3 to 5 years, we'll see the infrastructure of blockchain becoming more seamless. Means that people don't necessarily feel Web3 as on-chain experience anymore. It's more seamless and more up to the standard of the mass adoption of a normal Web2 applications, things that we see Google, Facebook, they are building. So we see this is a major breakthrough And this is going to lay a solid foundation for the future mass adoption. Nowadays, we are seeing ecosystems onboarding users into this ecosystem and empower them with all of the design of tokenomics, of decentralized, disruptive technology. So we do feel that this is quite promising, and that is why that's actually why we started SafePal in 2018. This is exactly the future that we want to see, and we are happy to see it's coming.
Amazing. Arthur, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think one big change I see from 2018 till now is one keyword is module. So previously we have seen like a lot of single blockchain, how to make it faster, how to attract a lot of users, how to build like the app. But now when we move into the modules and we see different layers, and since it's not that fast in love, so we see like layer 2. But for layer 2, it's not decentralized in law because it have like limited nodes. Then we have the DA layer to submit the data. And because the DA layer are not going to maintain the data forever, so that's why eStory is helping them to store the data forever. And because of the layer 2 has very centralized things, and people are trying to optimize in different ways. So to be honestly, there has been a lot of improvement. But instead of improve everything from the scratch, and now it's more like small pieces. And everyone is building small pieces in terms of the module things. So I'm not going to debate whether a single blockchain is better or module is better. But I do feel like this is one of the biggest trend we have seen back to 2018.
Gotcha. Thanks a lot for sharing all of those insights. I guess my next question, Arthur already touched upon a little bit about the challenges. So I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit with you guys. So what are the main challenges facing infrastructure today? And what kind of innovation technology or strategies are being explored with your startup, with your crypto teams to address these challenges? Yeah, this time we could start with Joshua.
Sure. So I agree that the modular approach is very useful for innovation because there's many experiments that can happen. I still believe, however, that some major drawbacks include liquidity fragmentation. There's only so much liquidity in these networks, and if they're all little pockets here and there, that's a major issue in terms of user experience. And ultimately, yeah, it really comes down to user experience. So with that in mind, Supra, we still think that the end game will be a fully integrated chain. We think that this experimentation is very healthy, let 1,000 flowers bloom. Nonetheless, we still think ultimately the best protocols, all tightly integrated, will be the future. To address the liquidity fragmentation issue and the UX, user experience issue that will happen, we think that cross-communication protocols, liquidity routing protocols are going to be very important. To achieve this, you need 3 components: smart contracts, cross-communication, like bridges, and also usually Oracle price feeds are quite useful here. So Supra is actually trying to play a role where we actually are bringing forth this new idea called an intra-layer, a layer between layer 1s and layer 2s. We think that we can play a very significant role to coordinate value across layer 1s and layer 2s, and we think we can help unify liquidity.
Starting in 2018, we have been experiencing all of the pain points with our end users. There's simply so many challenges that we can talk about. Fear on-ramp would be one thing, but now that we are seeing it's becoming easier. And also having a safe experience in the ecosystem could be another one. Currently, and in 2024, this year, the major challenges that we're seeing, that is bottlenecking the end users to enter Web3 would be 2 major focuses. The first one would be scams still, like security and end user protection could be one of the major issues that we are seeing nowadays. It's actually hurting us a lot. It's hurting a lot of other brands a lot as well. It's damaging their reputation, it's damaging all of the builders' efforts to try to build a healthy and sustainable ecosystem here. So we are seeing a lot of scammers still active because in the last 6 months we have reported more than 300 malicious steps and also fake accounts across social media. We actually have a full team doing nothing but reporting on a daily basis, but still they are still growing really fast, like grass. So like this is the major challenge that we're seeing. Every message that you send on social media, you could receive DMs that could potentially harm you. This is actually quite bad for newcomers to come in. We've heard so many comments talking about Web3 full of scams. And I even have some of my ex-colleagues suggesting me to leave the industry, like saying that, Veronica, why don't you bother to enter this? Like, this is for scam, and are you running out of money? Do you need any kind of financial support? Why don't you even like kind of do other stuff? Like, you have so many choices. So this is something that we are seeing that is hurting the ecosystem quite badly, especially people sitting here, builders on the stage. Another thing is that user experience still quite a lot of pain points. Key management, honestly, is anti-human, as we can see it. That's why AA and PC are becoming talk of the trends since last year. That is how to design a keyless user experience for people so that they don't bother managing their key by themselves, but they still take full control over their assets. We feel this is a critical trend, and we are also building something similar to empower this. So we feel these are some of the bottlenecks that are hindering the users from entering Web3. Of course, we need application and all of other things as well, but we feel that this is actually the major bottlenecks that is blocking the way in the journey. And after these are resolved, let's say if there are some data protection alliance or like actually builders standing together to fight against, and then moving on next, we could probably talk about applications and mass adoptions and actually building tangible solutions to actually make Web3 fun and interesting for a lot of people. Yeah.
Sounds good. What about Arthur?
Yeah, so there are like 3 keywords we have been talking for like a decade. I like decentralization, security, and scalability. I know everyone is a little bit like tied for that, but for what we helping for that, like I mentioned, because it's not fast in love, so we have so many like layer 2. Everyone is trying to provide like a better TPS, either through like limited node or consensus or roll up, like ZK roll up, or like optimistic roll up, or like even the parallel EVM. But everyone is actually in the computing level. So think about that way. We have been talking about world supercomputer for a while. For world supercomputer, so we need both computing power, we also need storage power. So that's why instead of like helping to do like, the better TPS, what we are trying to solve is helping to have like a better on-chain storage. And then another thing came is we already have IPFS and RWAVE. Why do we need e-storage? Because RPFS or RWAVE, they're like a single blockchain. So they're outside of the Ethereum ecosystem. If you want to store anything, it's like a cross-chain solution. And everyone knows like cross-chain is so hard. And it's, if you were trying to using the smart contract to do some interaction, it's really difficult. Yeah. But within the Ethereum ecosystem, and for any tool you use for Ethereum, you can just easily use for us. So that's why we want to use like e-storage to solve the on-chain storage problem for the whole Ethereum EVM ecosystem. And also, we're not only for the static data, so we're for the dynamic data. In that case, it gives you a lot of new use case. So you can do better like interactions through like smart contract. Yeah, so that's for scalability. And in terms of like, the security level, so when people are talking about like ZK rollup and OP rollup, people are thinking ZK rollup is more secure because basically the verification time is much shorter. That's why the optimistic team, they're working on like the fraud proof. Even they're like an OP roll up. So right now there are 3 teams helping them to do that. Story team, Mina team, and the Risk Zero. So we are trying to help all the other layer 2s to through like a better security. That's like the second point. The third point, I'm talking about like decentralization. Right now, a lot of the apps, let's say like Uni, Cake, or anyone we can imagine. So they're like the apps, right? But still, they have a lot of centralized points. For example, their website. So all the website is hosted by DNS, Infura, and that's why we see so many attacks happen. What if we have like a decentralized HTTP standard? So there's no DNS, there's no Infura, all kind of like centralized component. That's what we built for Web3 protocol. We're trying to provide a fully decentralized way to help like all the app to trial real decentralization. Yeah. So I know the three words are really old-fashioned, but still we help them in like a new way. Yeah.
Got it, got it. Yeah, apparently like all of the founders here are building something like the industry really need, and you guys found a pain point. And as an investor myself, I did talk to a lot of infrastructure builders in this sector, and I'm very happy to see that this industry is like maturing as the infrastructure is maturing. But right now, for me, I probably have to be the bad person and ask like the cliche question from investor is infrastructure space is definitely pretty hot and it has a lot of value. But how can you guys continuously attract users or attract partners to your ecosystem and achieve this kind of flywheel effect? And what do you think are the success factors in building this kind of flywheel effect for each of your projects? Who wants to start first?
Sure, I can start.
Okay.
Gentlemen first.
So first we start with new technology that can enable new things. So for example, vertically integrating a smart contract platform with price feeds, with cross-chain communication, with automation will give developers new tools to make new things. So that's going to, or it is already attracting developers. Now, developers in use cases, what's the point unless you have users or community, and customers, right? So what we did is we had a gamified learn-to-earn program that we ran for 65 weeks. And we've KYC'd 515,000, 500,000 people. Actually, we paid for it. We KYC'd them all. And that's how they could participate in our learn-to-earn program. So now we have 500,000 people that are knowledgeable about Supra. We have 1.3 million contacts. And what we've discovered is in our gamification, instead of focusing on our layer 1, which was our first phase, our first token airdrop will be our layer 1 token. The next phase is to identify promising dApps and then help launch those dApps on the same gamified platform that we used that goes viral on its own. And those dApps will also, we're not going to force them, but many of them will airdrop, which will attract more users who invite their friends. The audience grows, more dApps come, audience grows, and this is the positive flywheel. So we're launching our version 2 of our gamified learn-to-earn program. It was completely viral. We did not pay for anything. We had 1.3 million signups, 515,000 finished KYC, which is kind of a hassle, And they'll continue to do it because the in-game dynamics work. And instead of us distributing our token, because you have a limited amount of tokens to distribute, we're going to showcase applications. We're going to help launch those applications on Supra. Many of them will airdrop, and folks will tell their friends like they did before. So I think a year from now, we'll have at least 1 to 2 million KYC participants, token holders on Supra.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think there are two definitions, like as I'm coming from a retail-facing angle. In traditional internet industry, we are seeing flywheel effects quite often. Like one of the earliest example would be Airbnb. The more people who lease their apartment out there, the more people would place order and rent a house, and then like there will be more landlords coming out. So this is a very typical flywheel. And together with a referral program, like inviting your friends to tier up your level to have more incentives. So this is a very typical flywheel effect that we are seeing. That is, you actually have two factors designed, and the bigger one of factor A would be, and then it's going to boost the factor B, and then there will be an upside cycle. So in a wallet kind of perspective, we always feel that user experience would be the most important core of the flywheel situation. Of course, you have to design referral, you have to design incentives, but what is going to capture all of those funnels and tractions and conversions would be the user experience and the values that you brought to the target users. And in Web3, we also have tokenomics, so that means it adds another layer to the flywheel ecosystem, to the flywheel mechanism that you can build that is use token, just like Joshua mentioned. Like your token is just just a hint, just a beginning of the story. But token acts as a very important value-finding touching point that can lead you to a mass scale of potential target users. But at the end of the day, you have to capture them using your product value. That means you need to lay a very solid foundation of the product. It has to make sense to the target users, and then there will be value discovery, and then stay down, there will be retention. So we are seeing this kind of flywheel effect in APAC regions. Let's say currently 50-60% of our users are in European countries and North America. But for APAC region, probably 25%. But most interestingly is that Japan is out of all of the APAC countries, Japan is the top one. But not because we have done anything special marketing or growth or anything. We didn't hire anyone who speaks Japanese. But we did see a huge growth in Japanese market after we have launched a token. So it means that token is a way to build the engagement and connection, but at the end of the day, they retained because of the products. So we do see this could be a very strong flywheel effect only on the precondition that you have laid a very solid conversion funnel to onboard those users and capture them and retain them for a sustainable future that you are building and heading for. So we do feel that like there will be certain kind of preconditions that how to play around this and design a reasonable and sustainable flywheel ecosystem to boost the growth of your future business. So we have experience in those, and we feel that that is actually the magic of Web3. That is actually building, binding the consumer relationship closer with the brand. This is not something that we can easily see from traditional industry companies, like typically for Google, like for FANG, for all of these big giants, consumers are standing against the other side of the companies, but in Web3, tokenomics typically bind them together, which is kind of the magic and amplify all of the power of decentralization. So this is kind of amazing, and we have seen that 2 years ago, and we are also seeing it happening nowadays. That is actually bridging and also bringing us to the current stage that we are nowadays.
I would like to just add on to that. I totally agree. Like our programs we wouldn't have gone viral without the token. This extra incentive adds this ability to provide this extra lever, right? And it wouldn't have worked without a token. So it's a powerful tool. Use it wisely. You have one shot. If you want to know what works really well, you should study what we did. It worked really well.
I think it's actually an objective being, right? Depending on how you use it. And the proper way that you use it is actually have great power. But a lot of people actually understand it mistakenly. Yeah, so that's misfortune.
Just to add on to that point, I think like if you refer to a traditional kind of incentivization model in Web 2, the most important thing is like what are the groups, either it's like creators, developers, or partners that bring value to you. They are the one that you should incentivize them instead of just giving people free airdrops. So it's always very important to figure out like what kind of what's your target audience and who should you actually give incentives to? Yeah, yeah. Arthur, would you like to add to that?
So I totally agree. So for us, we haven't issued token yet. So it's more for find the real use case, and instead of like just finding your token holder, something like that. Plus, for us, majority of the target users are not the individuals. Actually, it's like a 2B. For a Web3 protocol, I just mentioned it's like a decentralized HTTP standard. So it has like two kind of users. It's either the traditional like the apps or other like in our industry, the Web3 companies who don't want to get attacked, who want to avoid censorship, who want to own the full decentralization, and also some Web2 companies who are trying to seek like decentralization for their front end website simply can use this product. And for the e-storage, actually right now we're more on key with the other layer 2, like I mentioned. While all the other layer 2 are trying to scale on the scalability side, we're helping them to store more stuff on chain. In that case, that can boost other apps, for example, like social on-chain model like decentralized AI and autonomous world decentralized, the real on-chain gaming. That's something we're working with all their other layer 2s. We're not just encouraging them to deploy on us instead. So we're helping other layer 2s. Yeah. So we more treat us as like middle layer for layer 2 and layer 1, although we're also a layer 2. Yeah.
Got it. Just to elaborate on the B2B side of the flywheel effect, I'm curious, like, what's your typical or pitch to the projects in order for them to build with storage?
Yeah, so if you're nobody, if no one ever helped you, if you just reach someone else, it's really hard to get their attention. But after you're getting like support from big team, for example, like OP and Ethereum Foundation, and all the other layer 2s, they're kind of just catch-up eyes, and it's more easily to deliver what you're really doing. Yeah. So I guess if you really want to work with some layer 2s, just trying to find their use case, whether this is some things they really care, because not all the layer 2s care about like this kind of like decentralization and on-chain storage. Maybe they more care about like TVL or something. Yeah, just trying to find whether this is some key point, and also trying to build like a strong use case that they can see easily, understand what you're trying to do.
One thing to add, I think, Alice, you brought a very interesting point about challenges. User profile would be the upcoming challenges for a lot of teams. So we know Super is building the proof of humanity on chain, let's say, like 500,000 KYC users. That is kind of amazing. We are also seeing a lot of data on tracking service providers. So I think for a lot of builders and projects nowadays who are trying to desperately target the main customers that they are after, user profile and also data tracking would be the upcoming trends or the upcoming kind of pain points for a lot of builders, because they don't know where to fetch, where to make them expose their products, and where to engage and build connection with their target audience. Since on blockchain everyone is anonymous, like it's not untraceable. So coming next, we should be seeing a trend of solution providers that is tackling this problem. And also seeing some hybrid solutions in the middle of Web 2 and Web 3, but in a hybrid, probably have KYC and also have on-chain behavior analysis in combination. We would feel that that is also going to tackle some of the problems that builders in the space would be facing with.
Yeah, so both of you brought up really important points, which is, in your case, a token isn't going to work if you don't have product market fit. So you need to have a product that people actually want. And to answer your question in terms of business to business, same thing. You got to build something people actually want, right? And then it kind of sells itself. Just a small correction. We are not exactly directly doing proof of humanity. We are working with other protocols, though.
No financial advice.
We are working with partners that do this type of work, though, and we'll work with many of these. We do issue proof of personhood, like soul-bound NFTs to our people that have finished KYC. Yeah, ultimately for us, we know that there's product market fit for layer 1, there's product market fit for price feeds, there's product market fit for cross-chain communication, automation. So we're lucky enough to know that there is demand for this type of service already. And then if you have a token, yes, adoption gets a little bit easier.
Gotcha. Well, it's a very delightful discussion with all three of you guys, and that basically concludes today's panel. Let's give a round of applause for all of the three panelists today, and thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For discussion， 谢谢 Alice 和我们的嘉宾们一起非常精彩的讨论和。